This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, hello. So I am really excited to be here today to talk about this topic of putting yourself first. Um, I'm excited about this topic for so many reasons. Probably mostly because Spirit has pushed this so much recently, and it keeps coming to me in downloads and in readings that the key to our moving forward in our life is us. It's not anyone else. It's not a relationship that we have. It's none of those things. We are the key. But a lot of times we are so involved with others. That may be a partner, it may be, family, that it's really hard to put ourselves first. And I know that's kind of how I lived my life for many years. And, my story is already out there. So, you can watch that. And right now, I would say I'm happy with or without anyone else. I'm happy. I mean, I guess um, that's something that I just had to come to a realization about. Like, my happiness doesn't have to exist because I'm with somebody or because certain circumstances are right. They exist just because every day I get up and I make a choice to be happy. And I have been getting these really persistent, really subtle shifts because I've had some really big shifts this year. And now these are more subtle shifts. And they're telling me to ask myself, what is it that I want? What is it I want? Um, you know, I haven't been very good at deciding things that I want in my life. So for me, it was like I would leave it up to what I decided I could get, even to my husband's, it's like, well, you know, this guy wants to marry me, so I guess I'll marry him. That um, that's a place of settling. That's not a place of like taking care of yourself. Um, it's not a place of deserving. So my deserving self has got some thoughts about what I want now, and I'm just letting her tell me. So that's kind of like where I'm at coming into today. And I want to introduce my panel to you and thank them for joining me. Um, Marie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah. Hi, Cheryl. Thank you for inviting me here today. So, hello, everyone. I'm Marie because, as you can hear right now, I'm a French speaker. So don't try to tell all my name. It's not it's not necessary. Marie is perfect. So I'm an NLP coach, a meditation teacher, and also an oracle reader. So that's what I do in life. And to be able to do that, I had to be on my own spiritual journey, evolving since 2013 right now. So it's been 9 years that I'm on my personal journey.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah. Is there something else you need to know, Cheryl? I think it's
No,
a
I
good
think we'll cover
introduction.
things in the questions and stuff.
So, Amy, what about you?
Yes.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Annie. This is the first time I've ever been on YouTube, so I'm a little nervous. I have to be honest. But my occupation, or I like to call it my vocation, actually, is I am a hospice nurse. And I've been doing that for a really, really, really long time. I am not, I don't read cards. I don't have, I don't do things like that, but I'm super, super open, and I'm, super, I guess I would just say just open to everything. And so, yeah, I'm just excited to be here. I don't know, Cheryl, if you want anything else.
No, that's great. We we have one other person who is going to join us, and she's not feeling well. So I would like to read what she had sent, because, you know, it's really good advice. She said, here's my best advice. This is Joy. Trust in divine timing. Don't let it scare you. Let go of the outcome, the how, the when, the why. Do what's best for you and feel. Feel everything, even when it's painful. Laugh, cry, ask spirit to help. They will. They'll guide you. It's important to keep an open mind. Happiness is in you already. Dig deep below the fear and confusion. Don't look for someone else to save you. I know it can be hard, very hard. Be your own best friend. Take a walk, feel the sunshine, listen to the wind. Listen to the birds, feel the wind. Watch the dragonflies, eat ice cream, do all the things that you love to do. And sometimes do all the things that just make you like feel alive. Some days, if all you do is brush your teeth, then that's okay too. Or whatever it is that you get out of bed and it's like, I've got to do this. Do anything that makes you happy. Don't look for it to be in someone else. And she says she's proud to be on this journey with all of you. It's much like a marathon. Keep going, one foot in front of the other. Some days are better than others. Love yourself no matter what. You've got this. And she's sending love.
Wow.
So,
I love that.
What else we can add to this? It's perfect.
I know.
okay, that's it.
Done. No.
The topic is intriguing. Putting oneself was something I grappled with for many years. I watched my mother always put herself first to the point that she never put herself last, to the point where she never lived her life. I feel like that is my story. We put ourselves last. So we all identify with that. And, you know, Marie, you still have children at home.
Yeah.
So it's really hard when you have children at home still to, that, isn't there kind of this feeling, this is what I remember from 4 years ago. So my journey actually started in 2012. But in 2018 is when I hit rock bottom and I went through the dark night. And I posted a video about that yesterday. During that time, before I attempted suicide and went in the hospital, I was trying to take care of me. It was not familiar to me how to do this. You got visitors one time in the hospital just before you came home. And my children came to see me to have an intervention because they said that they did not like the new me that was focused on myself, that I was being too selfish. And so I had just spent 3 days trying to focus on how do I keep breathing each day? And then I hear that and it was like, am I getting this wrong? But the truth of the matter is that they have to adjust to our healing. And that's a huge adjustment. When you take the focus off of just taking care of them all the time, and anytime that they need something, you immediately stop what you're doing and take care. It's like a shock to their system.
it's not easy for the family, you know. We need to have a lot of compassion because they don't awake at the same time as you, or you know, those kind of things take time. But my children are fine, my mother is fine, better than ever. But there was a time throughout my journey that it wasn't great, and I just need to trust that it was my path to choose myself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know in advance, I had received the question, how do we do that? How do we, what do you do right now that says to you that you're putting yourself first? What does that look like?
Do you want to go anywhere?
You go right ahead.
Okay, I feel that, you know, the whole topic of letting go and putting ourselves first is a misconception. That's what I feel. We feel it like a goal to achieve, but it's more a way of being. And it goes layers by layers. So when you think you're letting go and claiming to the world, oh, okay, I let go of everything, I'm allowing, for sure there will be something coming up to challenge you. And oh, are you really? And till this very day, I still struggle putting myself first and, you know, letting go sometimes. But if you want to know how, it's by you know, Joy told it so well, doing what I love. You know, I have a lot of things to take care of. I have a business. I have children. I have my own apartment. You know, I have friends. I have family. I have a very beautiful life. And I think if I have one advice to give to all of you is to just look around you and observe what you already have in your life and cherish that, you know?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. You know, and for me, I think what's so important, I don't know if I could really pinpoint one thing I do or I don't do, but what I always remind myself is give yourself grace. No matter what, if you're having a good day, if you're having a bad day, if you're struggling, if, you know, whatever it is, just give yourself grace. It's okay. It's okay to feel whatever emotion you're feeling. And I always tell everybody, especially as a hospice nurse, you know, I give a lot of, I talk to families a lot and things like that. And, you know, they're going through so much pain and so much heartache and, you know, feel that, absolutely feel that. And because that's the only way you're going to be able to get through it. My only advice is don't live there. Don't live in that place. You can visit it. You can visit that place of, you know, being scared, you know, being in pain, being sad, all of those things. But don't stay there indefinitely because that's how you get stuck. That's how you don't move forward. And I know it's easier said than done. I've lost both of my parents when I was in my 20s. I've been through a lot of loss and things like that as well. And that's what brought me to hospice. But again, just give yourself grace, whatever you're feeling, it's okay. And the other thing I always do is, there's always something to be grateful for, kind of like, you know, what Marie was saying when you look around. And that's kind of my favorite word. I have it right here. It says, I don't know if you can see, it says grateful, but, you know, and I have a sign in my office or like a thing in my office that says she starts each day with a grateful heart. And I think it's so important, even if it's just that you opened your eyes that morning or whatever it happens to be, there is always, always, always something to be grateful for. And I think if you start your day with gratitude and with giving yourself grace from the start, I think that helps a lot too.
Absolutely.
And I'll go ahead.
No, I was going to say the only thing that I can add that I didn't hear is breathe.
Yes.
When you run into those moments where suddenly something happens, you and what I've noticed for myself is it all has to do with expectations. I'm fine and I'm happy, and then somehow I might have some kind of expectation, and that expectation doesn't happen. And in that moment, it's like, oh, and it kind of can shake you, but you might be okay still at that point. But if it does shake you to the point where it's like, oh, wow, then that's the time that I just take that breath, and I focus on my breathing at that point. Because if I take all of my attention and just put it to my breathing, then I'm focusing back on me. I'm not thinking about anything else, and that's it's just it's not about the kids or the partner or anything. It's just about me. So that's how I bring the attention back to myself to handle, how to do this when I stop feeling happy in that moment.
Yeah.
Marie, you had something.
Oh, it was it's okay, but what I feel, it's okay, not letting go, and it's okay not putting yourself first. But at some point in our journey, it just become not right. It doesn't feel right inside of us, and that's at this very moment that we decide to choose ourselves. You know, but it's okay, and it's okay even if you chose yourself yesterday. It's okay if you're not choosing yourself today. It's not, I can't get it out of my head. It's not one big goal. If you just can understand that it's not one big goal, and it took me a lot of time to understand that, because I and it's all about expectation, as like you said, Cheryl, because I was expecting, okay, one day I will be, like a little Buddha, fully zen and calm in my life. But it's not about that. It's letting go. It's a decision of each moment. So when you struggle, when you have fear, when you have doubt, you can just realize that, oh, I struggle, I have fear, I have doubt, and you can keep them for you, or you can just give it to right. Spirit or anything you believe on.
And it's a good idea in those moments to try to see what they're trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Meditation really helps with that. I'm sure that being a meditation guide also for you, it's something that I've kind of taken people through in meditation to try to help them explore what it is about that fear that's trying to speak to them, because sometimes it's hard to do it alone. But if you don't let it speak to you and then address it, what do they say about triggers? They keep happening over and over again until you learn the lesson.
Yeah.
so you don't want to have it keep happening. So I just heard, be brave. You are brave. And Spirit is saying, recognize that you are. And you've come a long way. I know that, I don't know, it was a while ago now. I couldn't tell you the exact minutes now, but at one point in time, I sat and I figured out, and I thought, if you think about how long you're on this journey, each of you have your own timelines of how long that is. And if you think about in the beginning, when you were in the biggest struggle, how much time in your day you felt like you were in that place of struggle. And, so if you take away 6 hours for sleeping, or let's just make it, yeah. So that leaves you with 18 hours. I know for myself, I sat down one time and I figured out that out of those 18 hours, I was probably in struggle 16 of them. And I figured out how many minutes that was. And then I looked at where I was. I think I did this last April or May, and posted a video about it on the channel. And I was like, now I'm not even in struggle every day. So if I looked at how many minutes I'm in struggle a week, maybe I'm in struggle a week 60 minutes. So, it's like, it was something like 81,000 minutes compared to 60 minutes. And that's a great way, if you sit and figure those types of things out, that's a great way to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
Because you can see your progress, and you solve things a lot faster. You're braver than you used to be at facing your fears.
And I think part of it too is we are so, all of us are so used to giving to others. And I think, Cheryl, you and I talked about this the other day. It's okay to send love to someone, whether it's a friend, your counterpart, whatever it happens to be. But whatever that love you're sending out, you need to turn that around and send that much love, if not even more, back to yourself. If you're patient with someone, you need to then turn around and be patient with yourself. So I think we're the hardest on ourselves. I think for everyone else in our lives, we give people grace, right? And we're more understanding, but whatever you are giving out to people, you have to remember to give back to yourself as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally. Nothing more to say about that. It was perfect.
So there was a comment that had been made about boundaries, and then maybe this came from reading something Karen had written. Karen, I know you're on the live, so thank you for what you were writing about boundaries. So when we think about boundaries, how does this play into putting ourselves first? What are your thoughts on that?
I feel boundaries are the ultimate way to honor ourselves. When we're at this place to put and express boundaries, for me, it's the sign that we have done a lot of work. There's a lot of prior work before, healthy boundaries being established. That's what I feel. So it's a very good sign. If you're asking a question about boundaries right now, be proud of you. You've done a lot of work, because now you're ready to honor yourself. Yeah. It's not against the others, it's for yourself. And I want to give a very quick example. Last night, I was supposed to go at a show with friends, but I've had a very big week, very big, with a lot of people, a lot of, life happened. And yesterday morning, I was so tired. And I just decided to not go into this show with my friend, So that's putting boundaries and choosing myself. So they could be, sad about me not going because they wanted to see me, but they had a good time without me. And the next time I will be there. I will manage my time to be able to be there, because I wanted to see them, but my priority was to take care of me.
Right. And, I'm so glad you gave that example, because that's such a great example of, you wanted both.
Yeah.
You wanted to see your friends and everything, but you knew that what your body was telling you is, you need to focus on me right now. And so often in those times we can say, well, I don't want to disappoint them. I know I want to go and I don't want to disappoint them. And so I'm going to, ignore my own needs right now, my immediate needs.
And I have so much compassion towards the person I was back in time, because the person I was probably decided to go to the show being tired and exhausted. So yeah, that's a little example, but boundaries are not, fans putting in front of others. It's just returning the energy towards yourself. That's what I feel. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
Annie, do you want to add anything about boundaries?
I don't know. I agree, Marie. I agree completely. But see, that's why I think people don't realize that they do choose themselves, sometimes without even realizing, just like with that, you chose yourself, you realize you chose yourself, but maybe someone else wouldn't realize that that is actually giving a gift to yourself, because you're choosing yourself and you're putting yourself first. And yes, it may, make some people unhappy or whatever it is, but that's okay. That's okay. Yeah.
And sometimes we can choose to go for so many good reasons. It's all about, being conscious.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So sometimes you need to do it, even if you probably prefer to stay in your home watching TV. But the most important is knowing that you're in your power, and just feeling that, oh, I could stay at home, but for this reason, I choose to go, or I choose to do that thing, even if I will be tired or exhausted. It's just about being conscious.
Yeah.
Because, for a big part of our lives, we learn to do things without being self-conscious of what we could feel or, experience. So the more and more we're aware of what's happening inside of us and around us, where we can be in our power. It's not go or not go to the show. It's the reason why I choose to go or not go. But because I could have decided to go, and that could be okay too. And sometimes you go, you're exhausted, and then you learn. It's all experience.
Yeah, it is. So, there was also a question of what are some signs that you're not putting yourself first?
I'm feeling tired.
I was going to say, I'm exhausted. If you're exhausted. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's the better sign.
Agreed.
Right.
I'm not sleeping well or something like that.
Racing thoughts.
I start to worry more, maybe.
In the chat there, if you have thoughts on what do you experience when when you're not putting yourself first, what do you go through? What are those signs for you? And while you are putting some of that in the chat, I'm going to go on to the other side, which the other question was, what is the difference if you put yourself first or not, if you're doing the work?
I'm not
Is it
sure.
So
doing
if
the
you're
work?
if
Is
you're
it
doing
part
the
of
work,
doing
if
the
you're
work,
on this
putting
healing
yourself
journey
first?
and you are feeling like you're doing the work, what
Right.
difference does it make if you are putting somebody else first?
But I think that's part of doing the work is learning to put yourself first. Um, hmm.
But
Yeah.
you know, something putting ourselves first is being there for others. Because when I'm there for one of my friends, I've got something from that
Mhm.
too. There's something fulfilling, or it's aligned with my values, or it's a lot, you know, being aware, being self-conscious is the major key of
I
putting
think
ourselves first.
I think that in this particular case, I agree with you, but I think in this particular case, what we might think about is if we're in a relationship,
Mm.
if we're in a relationship and we're doing the work, we're on a healing journey and we recognize we're on a healing journey, but we're always thinking about their needs before we think about our needs. We can be on that healing journey, but really not be putting ourselves first.
Totally.
Agreed.
And, so it's recognizing what does that look like when you're putting your partner first. Now, for me, with when, you know, with Danny, um, I I'm just going to go back to something I said in the beginning, that, you know, I, I I'm going to give an example. I bought a house. I bought a house when I first moved to Florida. It was a pretty big house for one person, a 2,300 square foot house. I put 4 pieces of furniture in that house. My mother's buffet that was, gifted to me from her, my bed, my this round sofa thing that I have that's called a double papasan, and a chair. That was the extent of everything that I had. And I'm on this healing journey. I made this move because, it was supposed to be good for me to move away from being right there in the center of my children where I would always take care of their needs. But I was waiting for this person to come and choose to live with me. And then I would put things in my house. I didn't put pictures up. I didn't buy anything else. I lived a very stark existence because I thought I was putting myself first because I made this move, but I wasn't really moving forward in my life. And I realize now in retrospect how much of my journey I elongated because I kept stuck in this place of waiting. I would not even allow myself to heal beyond a certain point at one point because I was like, well, if I heal too far, he's never going to catch up.
Mm.
So, who's had that thought? I'm going to heal past him too far. So, any thoughts on that?
Do you have any thoughts, Annie? Or
You go right ahead.
I know, I'm sorry if it makes you struggle, but when you put yourself first in a relationship, you will at first struggle yourself because you will struggle, this fear of losing the other person. And you have to learn to be willing to lose everyone that is not aligned with
Right.
with yourself.
Mhm.
And the real one will stay.
Absolutely.
But you know, I've done a lot and lot of leap of faith, putting myself first throughout my journey, be willing, and I lose some people. But overall, I found Cheryl, I found Annie, I found Karen, I found, you know, Erin. I found a lot of people who were more aligned with me. So it's okay to be triggered by the fear of losing someone by putting yourself first. So you need to take care of this fear first.
Agreed.
So true.
Yeah.
And it's,
I wrote that in the chat.
yeah.
I wrote in the chat, be willing to lose the other person, people, whatever. That's so powerful.
Yeah, and
Because
I know.
that can keep you stuck. That can keep you trapped.
Yeah. And it's a lot, you know, if I want to give you a hint, it's a lot about your inner child. Often it's this, oh, I just, can you hear me?
Yep.
I feel froze. So okay, so sometimes, you know, your inner child is generally the part of you that experience this fear of losing someone. Because, you know, we learn to fear that when we are little. So you need to connect with this little part of you. Go seek for help if you feel you need it.
Yes.
Because yeah, we can pretend that we could do the work alone. That's not required. I've got a lot of help throughout my journey. A lot. But yeah, you need to connect with this little part of you that is very afraid of losing someone and being alone. So yeah. But
so we have a
okay.
question in the chat.
Yeah.
When we put ourselves first, we most of the time hear you're selfish and mean and just think about yourself. What should we do when we hear those things?
Well, that's a tough one because, you know, I saw this quote one time, and I'm sure y'all have seen it online too, where it says, people only understand from their level of perception. So that is how that person is perceiving it. You know, in your heart that that is not your intention. But that is a difficult, that it can be definitely difficult. But at the same time, when you put yourself first, it helps every situation around you. Don't you think? It's kind of one of those things where if you don't fill up your own cup, how can you give to anyone else? And people just aren't used to, maybe because you're such a giver, they aren't used to you finally, you know, doing something for yourself. But they'll get used to it.
Yeah, it takes a lot of courage.
It does.
At the beginning. But you know, the more and more you will do it, you will find your place, the place inside of you to feel aligned when you express your need to choose yourself. Yeah. And it's often all about how we express things. So if we express, yesterday, so coming back to my example of the show Not Going With My Friend, yesterday, if I expressed myself with the fear of losing my friend, probably they would react more deeply. I was totally aligned, totally connected to loving myself, putting myself first. It's more an alignment thing. And I always imagine, you know, a line going all over the body, you know, all going through all the chakras and just feeling, you know, imagine you're in a chair sitting right and taking a big decision, you know, like someone in a big company that could make a big decision that will impact a lot of employees. It's the same thing. You're the CEO of your life. So you need to make this decision for the best interest for your life. So I don't know if I'm clear about that, but it's inside of you. So the more and more you will do this exercise of putting yourself first, expressing your boundaries, the more you will find your way to express it in a way that will be more, aligned with yourself. So at this point, if it makes other people struggle, you will be able to let go and have faith that they will come back.
Right.
And I think another thing to remember too is you're not responsible for someone else's happiness. They're responsible for their own happiness, just like you are responsible for your own happiness. Because at the end of the day, we wake up with ourselves, So, and that's something I still struggle with. I'll be honest. I never want to hurt anyone. I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I would rather hurt myself and be miserable than do that to anyone else. So that is something that I am still working on every single day. But at the end of the day, I have to remember, I am not responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your own happiness. And so that's a part of letting go of feeling that responsibility for other people in that regard.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of fear around the idea of releasing your partner, releasing your divine counterpart. And what does that mean? Because, many of you know that I thought that I had that. And then I realized when I saw my truth that that person was not the person for me. So, it took a lot for me, even before I knew that he wasn't. I had released him because I did come to a place where I realized that I was so focused on him and his happiness and what was going on with him, that I wasn't focusing on me at all. I was focused on the journey, and I thought of all of the attention that I was giving him. I thought of that as being part of the journey. So if you would have asked me back then, was I moving forward in the journey? I would have told you, of course I am. Look at how much time I spend thinking about him. No. How much time do you spend thinking about you, Cheryl? And it's like, well, I've already figured me out. I really believed that at that point. I've already figured me out. I've done all this inner child healing. I can look back to this time last year, just before my channel tripled in that one weekend. And I can tell you this exact time last year was was the first time I really released Danny. And it was coming to this place where I suddenly went, wait a second. If all of my energy is focused on him, I knew that it was my ego telling me I had done all of the work I needed to do. That's what it was. I suddenly stood back and I realized that. I'm like, do you think that you don't have any further to grow or go because, you know, you've done the inner child work and you've done, you know, this other healing. And it was like, well, I don't know. And that's when I was like, no, you've got to stop. You've got to stop wondering, when is he going to talk to you next? When is he going to, you know, reach out? What's going on with him in the silence? I had to just say, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever he would come into my mind, I I did the same thing. I breathed through it. I let him come in. You know, I loved him. You know, I wanted the best for him. So when he would come into my mind, I would send him love, and then I would go back to what I was doing. And the result was Spirit said, now you're ready. Now you're ready. And, you know, things changed on the channel. Because they said, now we see that you can focus on you. So we can give to you. So if you are out there and you're looking for, what is my mission? What is it I'm supposed to be doing for humanity, for the world, whatever? And you're not figuring it out. Maybe the reason you're not figuring it out is because you're not focused on you.
And, you know, release someone, or, you know, it's a learning process. You know, we learn more and more, and it's, I just can't keep thinking about, it's not a goal to achieve, it's a way of being, a way of experiencing your journey, your life. So being more and more willing to lose someone, knowing that you will be okay without them, you know? But
Mhm.
so if you're not able to let go from someone right now, it's okay. You're doing some work while you're not able to let them go. It begins with a simple intention, you know? And I put this intention back in 2018, choosing myself without any compromise, and let the universe show me the way to achieve that, you know, to be able to choose myself. It wasn't easy to do that, but you know, you could now just put the intention and see what will happen for you. But it's not an easy thing to do,
No.
releasing
And it's
someone.
not, if you're in communication, if you are in a relationship where it's not a separation and stuff, um, it's a little more challenging.
Yeah.
And when I say, you know, release, it's just like you just said, it's not about giving up on them or giving up on your relationship. It's not about that at all. It's about giving up the struggle to have the, it's like Joy said in her message, the how, the what, the outcomes, you know. We And, you know, I'm a tarot reader. When you guys get readings, everybody wants to know those things. So I get it. You know, I wouldn't have a channel if nobody watched. But you know what I want more than anything in the world? For everybody to stop watching, because everybody is, you know, has found that self-love, has gotten to a point where they're perfectly happy in their life. They don't need the answers. And they're in the relationships, all the relationships that they want, and everything's going great. There'll be nothing more perfect. I'll just retire then.
Oh.
Do you have something to say, Amy?
You know, I think for me personally, I don't think, like I think I said earlier, I can't really pinpoint I mean, I can, for me, it were tower moments, truthfully, that really brought me to that place, whether I wanted to be in that place or not. Something had to shift, and something did shift, you know. So for me, I can't necessarily say that, oh, I have the magic, thing that would allow you to let go. Sometimes you are kind of forced into that. And that was, I think, my situation. Even though I feel like I was ready, it just kind of organically happened for me, because I don't know, I really didn't have any other choice.
Divine intervention is.
It was, and you know what? I knew, and I think we all knew that I probably wouldn't be able to get there on my own. And that's why you need that. We need those things that appear to be, I don't want to say catastrophic, but that appear to be extremely, life altering and changing and things like that. But I was telling Cheryl the other day, I'm grateful for it. And because it really changed the course of my thinking, of how I respond to things, of how I look at everything. And so there's a blessing in everything. If you look hard enough, you'll find a blessing in everything, even in the tower moments.
Yeah, and I think you complete very well what I've just said, because by putting the intention of choosing myself, it's not everything is fine in those unicorn world,
No.
I put this intention back in 2018, September 2018. And in August 2019, my ex-husband broke his ankle, and it was over between the two of us. It took this tower to force me to choose myself. Mm-hmm. There's a lot around it. Of course, you're not leaving someone just because he's broken his ankle. But,
out of here.
Yeah, but it was this turning point.
Yeah.
So that's what I meant when I said, put the intention and just look and be open. If you say clearly to, spirit, I want to learn to choose myself. Mm-hmm. Show me. Yeah. Be sure that life will show you how to do the work.
Absolutely, Marie. For me, I was just asking the question of, how do I do that? How do I give it? How do I let go and give it to God? How do I give it to the universe? How do I do those things? And, I kept asking the same questions that we're asking. It's, how can I do that? I want to do that. Like you said, setting the intention. I want to move forward. I want to be able to do those things. Well, my tower moments just happened to be, the way that came about, so be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, my tower of Danny sending me a text message that he got remarried. It's
right.
That, whether he was the right person for me or not, that moment was shifted me huge. Yeah. And I'm so grateful, because I wouldn't be where I am at today.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because getting to that moment where I could say, he's not my person, mm-hmm. meant that I had worked through some very big healing that had not yet occurred. Right. And it's all, I don't know, don't you find that we go through the same healings again and again, but we get to different layers of levels of deepness in those?
Yeah. Absolutely.
sometimes situation, taste or smells the same thing.
Or
That
repeating patterns that just keep
Yeah.
happening over and over again.
Mhm.
Yes. Hmm. Yeah.
And all of us have had healings with Claire.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say that I know that what I experienced going through those healings was also really key, because it was
Huge.
like every single one of those healing sessions kind of, I mean, it was like I had no choice. I was catapulted at that point. And so um, it forced me, but I was ready. I wanted it. It's like saying that I have this intention. I've been trying to put myself first. What am I not doing, Spirit? Take me to a different level. And boy, did they ever.
Oh.
It was like getting a personal tower every week for like, because I did weekly healings for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah,
I couldn't have done something like that. For sure.
I don't understand how I did. I look back and I'm like, what was I thinking? That's that no temperance.
I had one in March, one in May, and one in the end of June.
Yeah.
That was more than enough for me.
I only had 2 back to back. I did the first healing, and then a week later I did the second healing, and then I was done. But yeah, that I didn't do 4 in a row. 2. I mean, that was whoo. I mean, that amazing, the most amazing thing ever. But a lot. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we need time to process. That's why it couldn't happen, just like that. We need to process it. And I've had a lot of healing, coaching, throughout my journey. And I'm grateful for all the people that helped me,
Yeah.
moving forward. Everyone was meant to be on my path.
Yeah.
But that's, my need to process. And it took me time to acknowledge that I needed time to process and give me space for that.
Yeah.
That's also part of boundaries, choosing ourselves. Because sometimes it's just too much. So even if I wanted, for the most part of my journey, I tried to write a book. And I didn't write it yet. It's a work in progress, but I realized that I couldn't write it until now. And I yesterday I found, some notes from, a consultation with a psychic 2 years ago. And she was telling me, you're not ready for it.
Wow.
And I didn't heard. I tried more and more, but I wasn't ready for that until now. Now I know that I'm ready. So being ready bring some other part of struggle, because there's no excuses.
Yeah.
So I give this example because everyone can relate to, a project, but it's the same thing with a relationship. Just, it took a lot of humility to just acknowledge that, oh, I wasn't ready. Even if I thought I wasn't ready. It's not that I'm not enough. It's not the same thing. It's that I need some time to process.
Right.
Right. Right.
So be kind to yourself.
It's that reading that I did the other day where both the divine masculine and the divine feminine are in this place of like they need to be on their own. And that's what came out in the connection too. It's just like, okay, it's a big old time for a timeout. So I'm just looking, I don't really see any other questions in the chat. And I think we've covered everything that I had been kind of sent.
This was a very huge topic to cover. So I suggest that if someone have more questions, you could just ask and we could do another round of that answering
Right.
question.
Right. Ask it in the regular chat. If there are, once this ends, if you
Yeah.
have other questions that you think about, put them in the regular chat, not the live chat. And then, yeah, if we need to, we'll do another. I want to thank everybody for joining us in the chat. And Marie, Annie, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
giving us your time and your love and all your wonderful thoughts. And I guess that's it. So
Yeah.
stop the recording and